What if the greatest teacher you will ever meet does not have a name, a face, or a physical form? What if the guide you are waiting for will never arrive in robes, never speak in long discourses, and never ask you to follow them? Most spiritual seekers begin their journey believing that awakening comes through finding the right guru, the perfect master, or a powerful lineage that will finally give them peace. We search endlessly, moving from teacher to teacher, book to book, tradition to tradition, hoping that someone outside of us holds the missing key. Yet even after years of seeking, something still feels incomplete. The heart remains restless. The silence we long for does not fully arrive. This raises a quiet but profound question: what if the problem is not that we have not found the right guru, but that we are looking in the wrong place? The ancient yogic masters gently point us toward an uncomfortable truth. The outer teacher is never the destination, they are only a signpost. A true guru is not a person you can cling to, admire, or depend upon forever. The true guru is an inner event, a moment of awakening that happens when the mind grows tired of seeking and the ego finally loosens its grip. It arrives not through effort, but through surrender. Not through learning more, but through becoming still. When the constant search exhausts itself, when questions fall silent, something deeper begins to guide you from within. This is why the greatest spiritual teachers warned against attachment, even to them. They knew that the highest wisdom cannot be handed over, it must awaken inside you. And when that awakening happens, the guru does not remain standing in front of you. The guru dissolves into awareness itself, leaving you alone with truth, freedom, and a silence that finally feels like home. Most seekers begin their spiritual journey from a place of pain, confusion, or deep longing. Something inside feels incomplete, even when life appears outwardly successful. In this vulnerable state, the soul naturally looks outward for guidance. We want someone who seems certain, someone who speaks with clarity and authority, someone who appears to have already reached the peace we desire. This is why the idea of a guru feels so powerful. A teacher gives direction, structure, and hope. They help calm the fear of being lost, and for a time, following another's light feels safer than trusting our own uncertain steps. In the early stages of the path, this outer guidance is not only natural, it is necessary. Just as a child needs a parent before learning to walk alone, the seeker often needs a visible example of discipline, devotion, and higher awareness. The problem begins when guidance slowly turns into dependence. Instead of using the teacher as a bridge to inner strength, the seeker begins to lean on them for identity, reassurance, and spiritual worth. The ego, which once felt threatened, now feels protected by association. It quietly says, "I belong to this teacher, this path, this tradition," and in doing so, avoids facing its own inner work. This is where the warning of the yogic masters becomes deeply important. Attachment to an outer guru can subtly delay growth. When faith is placed entirely outside, the inner voice grows faint. The seeker may obey perfectly, study endlessly, and defend the teacher passionately, yet remain unchanged at the core. True spirituality is not about borrowing someone else's realization. It is about awakening your own. The outer guru is meant to awaken courage, not replace it. When we understand this, respect remains, gratitude remains, but blind dependence begins to fall away, making space for something far more powerful, the quiet guidance rising from within. As seekers grow on the spiritual path, many become deeply drawn to lineages, traditions, and sacred histories. There is comfort in knowing that a teaching has been passed down through centuries, practiced by saints, and preserved with devotion. Lineage gives a sense of belonging and legitimacy. It makes the path feel protected and ancient, as though truth itself is guaranteed simply because it comes from a respected source. In the beginning, this reverence can inspire discipline and faith. However, the same reverence can quietly turn into illusion if it is not held with awareness. The danger arises when lineage becomes a substitute for direct experience. The mind begins to take pride in association rather than transformation. One may speak fluently about masters, quote scriptures perfectly, and identify strongly with a tradition, yet remain untouched by the truth those teachings point toward. This is why Lahiri Mahasaya offered a gentle but firm warning: do not romanticize lineage. Truth does not flow automatically through ancestry, titles, or spiritual inheritance. It flows only through sincere practice and inner realization. Spiritual ego often hides behind tradition. It says, "I belong to a sacred line," instead of asking, "Am I truly changing?" Yogananda reminded seekers that liberation is not passed down like a family name. Each soul must awaken on its own terms, through its own sincerity, silence, and struggle. Lineage can preserve methods, but it cannot guarantee awakening. When lineage is honored as a tool rather than a badge, it serves its true purpose. It points inward, reminding the seeker that no matter how ancient the path may be, the final step is always taken alone, in the quiet depth of one's own consciousness. At a certain point on the spiritual journey, a profound shift begins to occur. The seeker slowly realizes that the deepest guidance they receive does not always come from words, teachings, or even personal instruction. Instead, insight arises in moments of stillness, often when no one is teaching at all. This is where the understanding emerges that the true guru is not a personality, not a role, and not a figure standing outside of us. The true guru is an event, an inner awakening that happens when awareness aligns with truth. A personality can inspire, instruct, and discipline, but it is limited by form. An event, however, transforms. When the inner guru awakens, guidance no longer feels external. Intuition sharpens, clarity deepens, and choices begin to arise from a quiet certainty rather than confusion or effort. There is less dependence on constant instruction and more trust in inner perception. This does not happen suddenly or dramatically for most seekers. It unfolds gently, as sincerity matures and the mind learns how to rest in silence. Yogananda often emphasized that God and divine guidance are experienced directly, not merely believed in. The Guru event is the moment when seeking shifts into being, when practice stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like remembrance. Awareness itself becomes the teacher. In this state, one is no longer asking, "What should I do next?" because understanding naturally arises from within. The outer guru may still be respected, but they are no longer needed for direction at every step. The seeker has begun to listen to something deeper, something wordless, something that was always present but could only be heard once the noise of constant seeking finally grew quiet. The appearance of the true guru within is not something that can be forced, planned, or achieved through ambition. It arrives naturally, as a result of inner ripening. The yogic masters taught that this awakening happens when certain inner conditions are fulfilled, not as a reward, but as a consequence of sincere living and steady practice. It is not marked by visions or dramatic experiences, but by a quiet and unmistakable shift in awareness. The first sign is the exhaustion of the ego. After years of striving, comparing, questioning, and searching, the mind grows tired of its own restlessness. The need to control the journey begins to soften. The seeker stops demanding certainty and becomes willing to rest in not knowing. This surrender is not weakness, it is maturity. When the ego loosens its grip, space is created for deeper guidance to emerge. The second sign is effortlessness in practice. What once required discipline and struggle now flows naturally. Meditation no longer feels like a task to complete but a state the mind returns to with ease. Devotion becomes simple and unforced. There is less pushing and more allowing. Practice feels less like something you do and more like something that happens. The third sign is that silence itself begins to teach. Insights arise without analysis. Understanding appears without explanation. Answers come without questions being asked. In this stillness, guidance feels intimate and immediate. This is the moment the inner guru awakens, not as a voice, but as clarity itself, quietly leading the seeker from within. As As the seeker moves deeper into inner realization, a truth emerges that can feel both liberating and unsettling. Even the guru must eventually vanish. This does not mean the teacher was false or unnecessary. On the contrary, it means the teacher has fulfilled their purpose. In the highest stages of spiritual awakening, all forms of dependence fall away, including dependence on spiritual authority. What remains is direct knowing, free from intermediaries. Yogananda taught that true freedom is not achieved through attachment to any form, no matter how sacred. As long as the seeker feels, I need someone outside of me to guide my awareness, there is still subtle duality. The presence of a guru implies separation, teacher and student, guide and follower. Liberation dissolves this division. Awareness no longer looks outward for confirmation because truth is experienced directly, without doubt or effort. When realization matures, guidance is no longer something that appears as instruction. It expresses itself as being. Actions arise naturally, aligned with clarity and compassion, without inner conflict. In this state, the guru does not disappear as rejection or loss, but as fulfillment. Like a lamp that is no longer needed once the sun has risen, the outer form fades because its light has been absorbed. This is not abandonment. It is completion. Gratitude remains, reverence remains, but attachment dissolves. The seeker stands alone, yet not separate, rooted in awareness itself. Here, there is no one left to follow and nowhere left to go. The journey ends not in emptiness, but in a fullness so complete that the idea of a guru naturally and gently disappears. For the sincere seeker, this understanding brings clarity rather than confusion. The path does not ask you to reject teachers, traditions, or practices. It asks you to relate to them wisely. A true teacher is honored through practice, not through attachment. A true teaching is respected by being lived, not by being defended. When this balance is understood, the spiritual path becomes simple, grounded, and deeply personal. The most important step is sincerity. Practice regularly, even when progress feels invisible. Sit in silence each day, not to achieve something, but to become intimate with stillness. Serve where you can, without seeking recognition. Watch the movements of the ego gently, without judgment. Growth happens not through force, but through patient awareness. The inner guru responds to honesty, not perfection. Equally important is trust in timing. Awakening cannot be rushed. Just as a fruit ripens in its own season, insight unfolds when the inner conditions are ready. Comparing your journey to others only creates unnecessary pressure. Every seeker walks a unique path shaped by their own experiences, strengths, and challenges. Above all, be kind to yourself. The journey inward requires courage and humility. When confusion arises, return to silence. When doubt appears, return to practice. Over time, guidance becomes quieter yet clearer. One day, you may notice that you are no longer searching for direction. Understanding arises naturally, and life itself feels like a teacher. When that happens, you will know that the path has not led you away from guidance, but directly into it, alive, present, and deeply your own. As we come to the end of this reflection, take a quiet moment to let these words settle within you. There is no rush to understand everything at once. Spiritual truth unfolds gently, revealing itself layer by layer, as you live it rather than analyze it. Remember, the purpose of this teaching is not to take anything away from you, but to return something essential, your trust in your own inner awareness. The outer teacher may introduce the path, but the inner stillness is where wisdom becomes real. When seeking softens into listening, life itself begins to guide you with a quiet certainty that does not demand effort or proof. If this message resonated with you, allow it to move beyond thought and into practice. Sit in silence today, even for a few minutes, without expectations. Observe the breath, the awareness, the space between thoughts. Let the need to search fall away, just for that moment. This is how the inner guru is invited, not through striving, but through presence. Carry this gentleness into your daily life, into your actions, your speech, and your relationships. The path is not separate from living, it is revealed through it. If you found value in this video, I warmly invite you to share your reflections in the comments below. What part of this teaching spoke most deeply to you? Have you ever experienced a moment where silence felt like a teacher? Your insights may guide someone else who is quietly walking the same path. Also, let me know what you would like the next video to explore. Is there a question you are carrying, a teaching you want clarified, or a topic you feel drawn toward right now? If this content supports your journey, consider liking the video and subscribing so we can continue walking this path together. Until we meet again in stillness and understanding, remain patient, remain sincere, and remain kind to yourself. ***Jai Gurudev ***.